Are we okay? We got to fucking... We've got to do the fucking shit that we for fucking drug abuse. No! Are you listening?
All right, let's try this again. Sean here. I've often wondered, because there's a power fantasy people have. What if I could do whatever I wanted? What if I had magic? What would I do if I could conjure any situation, any object, whether it be riches, whether it be an unending supply of the opposite sex, same sex, whatever it is, celebrity, money, whatever you want, importance. A lot of people, like magicians, a lot of them say, I would just keep doing what I was doing, except I wouldn't have to use the skill, I would use the magic, which would make it, because I'm already doing what I love, which would make it even more realistic. And I would make a lot more money, and I would be the best magician ever, and my act would be perfect. But I don't think that's what Lorne would do. I write a lot of movie scripts. Right now, I have a project going on that could end up on a streaming service. I just have to put the concept together. I already have everything else written. I come up with a lot of ideas. And I had one of those ideas from watching Ariel Castro and the other teacher who kidnapped the student. They ended up getting caught in the Northwest. Because I think that's Lorne's magic. I think that's what he would do. One of my scripts, and this very well could be one of Lorne's fantasies, and I don't mind sharing it, is that a young girl, maybe 14, 15, wakes up on an island. She's confused and lost, so confused. Maybe she finds an underground bunker full of meals ready to eat that the military would use. Lots and lots of them. Maybe there are a couple. It's an old island used where they were using it for a base in the middle of the war. Suddenly, after a few days, she discovers an injured Lorne. Oh, and in his world, there would be lots of alcohol in that underground bunker because he wouldn't have to worry about probation and parole giving him crap about drinking. Plus, the alcohol could be used to get the underage girl drunk. Because these guys think that if I kidnap these young girls, if I'm isolated with them, because their hormones and puberty are raging, they would eventually fall in love with me. Ariel Castro, he wasn't worried about the fact that he kidnapped girls. He was worried about whether or not these girls he forced himself on, they had babies. There was a lot of love in his family, he said. So he's on the island, and I think if it didn't work out the way he wanted, one night while he was drunk, he would make it happen. So anyway, the long and short of it is, in my movie, she would discover that there was medicine, newer medicine, on hand. As if the guy was taking his medicine because he would be older. And she would come to the realization that, oh my God, I'm not here because someone kidnapped me or someone kidnapped us and just threw us here. I'm here because this guy set it up. And then whatever happened, it would pan out. There'd be a bunch of islands with the same combination, whether it be a woman and a boy, a man and a boy, a woman and a woman, a woman and a girl, whatever. But the point would be, I think Lorne would have this isolation fantasy. His measuring stick, no pun intended, we talked about, he would be enough. He would be more than enough for this girl because she wouldn't have anything to gauge what a real man would be like, what someone sexually experienced would be like. So he would have all of that time isolated with that young girl to try to do his work. Now, the problem with Lorne is, looking like he does, knowing the fact that he likes to be naked. Of course I want to be naked with you. Why wouldn't I? I love you. He would want to be naked all the time. He'd want the girl to be naked all the time. He would be staring at her constantly. I mean, hell, knowing Lorne, he'd have them down on the beach, writing in the sand to substitute for the chat log, to substitute for a chat. I think he might talk about it a lot. Honestly, I don't even know if he'd go through with it. part of me wonders if the thrill for him is being alone with a young girl, talking about the stuff, not actually going through with it. We talked about him being a cuck, so who knows? Maybe he would want Alpha Derek, 15-year-old kid, to come on and he could watch them experiment. I don't know the depths of depravity for this man. But I do know that people like us, we'd want money. Some of us want fame. But I think Lorne would want access to these young girls with no one else around. Knowing Lorne, though, he would want a young girl up in his trailer, and the only conditions he would wish for would be that she would never leave him. Because he's not smart enough to understand that no girl, no woman could ever love him. So maybe there's an invisible force field that she's running into every day. She would try to kill herself, I think. Lorne would wish her back to life and then make a new rule: you cannot commit suicide. There are so many things that could happen in his little Cornville 56K modem pea brain. I wonder sometimes what would happen if he had superpowers. And then I realized he was lazy. And I don't think he would do anything to save other people, help other people. I don't think any of that would happen. I just don't feel like he would want to put out the effort or even care about other people. Maybe I could help Mom more around the house, and I don't even think that would happen. I think he would want slaves. I'm not talking about like Civil War, type slavery. I'm talking about just people at his beck and call doing everything. He'd wish to sit around in his trailer with an endless supply of beer. Maybe some of these catfish women, maybe Winnie finally shows up because he's too dumb to realize the disaster that situation would be. I also wonder if it wouldn't just be a no one can tell me what to do, like a child power fantasy. You can't make me go to bed. Kids want to be Superman. They want to be Batman, Green Lantern, whoever else. Wonder Woman, doesn't matter. They want to have that power, to have ultimate control, to be able to beat up anybody else, to be able to do whatever they want. I know some people would probably like to fly into other countries, grab all the nuclear weapons, just like in Injustice, get rid of them. Just walk up, grab one of the dictators, throw them straight up in the air so they go up into the atmosphere. A lot of this stuff happened in Injustice for a reason, because somebody like me sat around and said, what would I do if I was Superman? You would end up becoming a dictator, and Lorne would end up becoming the dictator of the trailer of failure. I want a woman or a girl that'll do whatever I say. I want a couple girls wearing short shorts, whatever his fantasy was about white panties and bra. Look how they're panties and bra. He's so disgusting. So his fantasies are going to be gross. Maybe he would finally be an amazing fighter, the best fighter in the world, because of all the crap he talks. He might be able to beat up all those people that ever wronged him. I can name you 2 people who still have this fantasy of showing up to a class reunion in a limousine, in expensive clothes, with a Rolex and all this other crap, and they roll in and they look at everybody else who always look down on them. People remember that stuff, so I don't really know what Lorne remembers. He wouldn't wish, again, for money to pay Betty back. He wouldn't wish for a betterment of his family, like most of us would. It would all be about Lorne. And whatever disgusting thoughts, what you have done, grosses me out. Maybe he would take revenge on Xavier. Can you imagine Xavier Von Erck just sitting there doing his day-to-day work, and all of a sudden he disappears and ends up in this trailer that's probably, maybe that's what Lorne would wish, to fix up the trailer. Not a mansion, not even a new home, but the trailer finally fixed. Because remember, most people wish for something based in their life. That's all Lorne has. That and these catfish women. But imagine being Xavier and you're like, just, working around the house, and boom! You're in the trailer and Lorne's got you in handcuffs. Yeah, Yeah, Xavier, who's the man now? And he looks up and goes, who in the fuck are you? You know who I am. You've been messing with me for the last however many years. I bet you he wishes I won the lawsuit with NBC instead of just wishing for the money. Instead of wishing he was off probation and parole, he would wish that he won the lawsuit. He would wish that when he was in court, they would have just let him go. He wouldn't wish for his record to go away. He would wish for everything that happened to him to have gone his way. He's just stupid, man. He's so dumb. He might wish for all of the talk about him to go away because he's narcissistic to an extent. I think he would wish for all the talk about him to turn into how awesome he is. Instead of, because remember, Lorne is a binary thinker, good or bad. So whatever happened that he didn't like, he would wish it was the opposite. If I was Lorne Armstrong, I would wish for it all to go away, that it never happened. And I would wish that it would never happen again, that I had the strength not to drink. I would wish that any perversions that I had about young girls, I'm talking about Lorne, any perversions that I had about young girls would disappear from my mind. I would wish that I was a successful millionaire or a celebrity or an actor. Something I've always wanted to do, like directing. You know, I wish I was a well-known director who could get work all of the time, because that's what I'd want to do. My passion, I'd love to direct. I'd love to be a famous magician. Be able to use, like I said, magic to do magic stuff. He would not wish to be that country star. He's a binary thinker, good or bad. Bad things that happen are now good. Bad, good. They must be good. You know, Lorne and his Neanderthal thinking here. I wonder as well if he wouldn't wish for lots of young girls as his slave. Or for Lorne, maybe even this would be better for him. Not that he wouldn't do this, that he could get rid of that need. He would wish that it was legal. Not thinking about all of the other young girls, not thinking about all of the other victims that these men would be perpetrating their disgusting, vile, touchy-feely actions on. The ones that have real victims that can now get away with it. The ones that have always wanted to have real victims. He could make kidnapping kids and going across state line legal. And then, there you go. His fantasy finally fulfilled. So much negative would come from him because it's all about him and what he wants to do. He would no longer be so confused. He wouldn't spend 20, 30, however long he lives, years trying to come up with a good excuse that finally everyone believes on why he tried to diddle a kid and kidnap her. Society would be worse simply because Lorne Armstrong felt the need to do whatever he wanted. Drinking and driving was now legal. I could go on and on, but one of my thoughts was, I wonder if he wished his life went back to normal. Tony Palmer was back. He could go over there and drink. Maybe Wendy would die, or Wendy was hot, she would want him, or she welcomed him over there, something so simple. Everything bad that was happening, he could just make good. His mom would love him more than his siblings. Roy would be his subservient little guy. You know, whatever I want, Roy's going to do what I say. My siblings are going to think I'm the best. This is Lorne, not world peace. The only time Lorne might do something is if a catfish woman he wished to be there, or a young girl he got there said, you know, you should wish for world peace or to end hunger, Lorne. That would make me happy. Well, I don't know. It might run my magic out, but okay, if you're going to have sex with me, I'll do it. I don't think it would be his idea. I don't think he would ever do it willingly on his own because it didn't benefit him. He might wish for a refrigerator that never empties, a cooler that's always full of cold Bud Light, an endless supply of cigarettes, Just like on that Dave Chappelle skit, I got enough cigarettes to last me and my family the rest of our lives. I'm rich, bitch. But Lorne would wish for things that were no longer an inconvenience for him, things to be legal that he wanted to do, not to better the world, but to better Lorne Armstrong's world. I love you guys. My birthday is October 18th, the day our Lord and Savior is crucified. I hate that. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one.